Alrighty then. Mosca and Grass have never played each other in tournament. This tournament has brought a lot of matchups to life that have been kind of hidden behind bracket seeding. Like we've had how many actually S tier tournaments we've had? We had Red Bull, Wololo at the start of Retold. Then we had Genesis. Then we had Wrath of the Gods. Then we had the Clash of Immortals. Then we had Mythic Wars. Then we had Champions League. Then we had Pandora's Box 2. 7 S-tier tournaments thus far. And because of the bracket format of tournaments, we haven't seen these players. That's what this tournament is bringing. It's bringing everything. Biggest land since 2002, 2003. I can't remember when WCG happened for the original Age of Mythology, but biggest land since then. Everyone, all the top players get to duke it out against each other. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's jump over to the draft and see what gods they're going to be playing here, because it's definitely going to be exciting. Alrighty then, ladies and gentlemen. Kronos and Loki bands from Mosca. Shenong and Tsukiyomi band from Grass. To tell you the truth, I'm a little surprised by the Mosca draft here. I'm also surprised Grass just said, hey, have Poseidon. This is very, very exciting stuff. Mosca first picks his Poseidon. Grass then takes away all the other Greek gods. Wow. I mean, what else can you say? Greek, obviously, these two players are incredibly, they're valuing the Greek at a very high clip. That being said, no Demeter, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. But Poseidon for Mosca, Hades, Zeus for Grass. Mosca then takes Amaterasu, Gaia, allowing Grass to have his Uranus and his Thor. Then Mosca picks up Isis, Freya, and it's Odin's set for Grass to round out the draft, with Mosca last picking Susanoo. Now, let's be real. A lot of this is drafting the player rather than drafting the best gods. Now, if your opponent is just a god, can play every single god, has a full, feels great on everything, then it's impossible to play target bands, and the best way to draft is just to pick the best gods. But when your opponent is someone like Grass, who doesn't play China, I don't believe he plays Japan, and he doesn't play the Aztecs, well, you can just go down the line of banning out his stuff. Now, Mosca as well, not picking the Aztecs here. I don't know if this is on purpose. I have seen him playing them, but maybe it just doesn't fit his playstyle. And he says, no, I'd rather play my playstyle in tournament than play something that's just strong, and I don't want to deal with it. We'll see how things go. Giza, the first map, Gaia versus Uranus. A bit of an interesting one. We've seen this quite a bit, and we have seen a bit of a style emerging here that I don't think suits Mosca in the slightest. So it's going to be interesting to see what his style is going to be for game one. Grass, on the other hand, you already know he loves his Murmillo. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go mass Murmillo here. But let's check it out. In onto Giza for game number one. Alrighty, in the left-hand corner of the map, Mosca playing as Gaia. Right-hand corner of the map, Grass playing as Uranus. We are off to the races. ladies and gentlemen. Back gold mine for grass, forward gold mine for Mosca. Does mean that any sort of crazy builds from the Gaia aren't really going to be a thing, but grass could go for a really fast advance time here. I was talking about one style that was emerging in the Atlantean mirror, which is basically like you just go Chronos Rush as Uranos or Chronos Rush as Gaia. You just make those Terma from your main base and you send them straight at your opponent to get a nice early game advantage. That's not going to be happening in this game from Mosca. Grass as well, not doing the fast advance, could probably still go for the Terma idea, but probably better to just go straight into those Murmillo, take the speed advantage, and try and make that work. Let's check out the relics and see if there's going to be anything impactful here. Chariot of Sibel here is a very, very nice relic for the early game. Can definitely help you greed out a second town center or win an early game fight. There's also the Hecate's Torch, which is God Power recharge time and God Power. Cost minus 10%. As well as over onto this side, we have the Girdle of Hippolyta. It does make those ranged soldiers have hit points of plus 10%. That helps out the Terma and the Caraballister and the Arcus in this matchup. Up to the top, Rhea's Crown. Cheap second town centers. I have to say, in the Atlantean mirror, it's pretty rare to see a fast second town center, but if there is someone who wants to try it, Mosca is the guy. He's got himself the town center, rhinos, a gold mine kind of close here, though he is going to be going for a pretty late advance time. If he was to go for this, maybe an Oceanus, not Oceanus, a Alito idea could be interesting, where you charge over, you drop the Gaia Forest on one side, and then you just layer up spider eggs on the town center. 1, 2 layers of spider eggs kind of scares off the all-in, and then you start layering this gold mine with as many spider layers as you possibly can, so you don't get gold starved when you move over onto it. World's coming up from Mosca as well, and he's going Oceanus. So no craziness. It's going to be our stock standard ideas, and Empyrean speed coming through from grass does give away that he plans to make infantry very, very quick in this game. Otherwise, no point in getting the tech. Now, the big advantage here for Mosca is it's a mirror matchup to some degree, and he's got Gaia Lush to help him on the defense, and he's got the Economic Guild with the cheaper upgrades to help him on the defense. He should be able to push out of his base, set up on hunt, spam units, and be very, very happy to defend. Main base of grass comes up to military barracks. So the start, very obvious here. This is something that I think grass is just, he's got a style of Age of Mythology. Let's just put it that way. And it's a very, very exploitative style. You can beat this very, very easily if you understand what's going on. When he plays as Norse, he loves Herser. He spams a lot of them out. When he plays as Atlantean, he loves the Murmillo. So if you know that's going to be happening, well, setting up a wall, getting a Caraballister in, and heroizing it early on, that's going to shut down a lot of the options. Forces out Terma. And if grass doesn't adapt, well, he's going to have some problems. So we'll see if that's going to be the case or not. Onto the backside, Mosca's still staying inside of his base. Houses coming down. Goat count 16 to 20. The grass does win on the goat count, but it's pretty close. Meanwhile, Murmillo's coming around as Mosca is trying to bring this relic back home, sneaking through. Murmillo's up onto the top to just fend off the grass raids, but grass is searching for oracles. Nothing in just yet. Is this spotted? Nope. He's just going to be hanging up there for the time being. Everyone's to this side, a little bit of raids. Every unit is just going to get healed up after any sort of tiny engagement. The Murmillos don't spot any oracles up there. Coming around for more. As it is 3 versus 3. And any dead oracles is obviously the biggest amount of advantage you can get in these early stages. Into the main base though. First blood is drawn. Trying to take out the Oracle here, but the Caladria flying overhead is going to be a little bit too much. And of course, Grass is fine. He's going to just get everything healed up. He does have a little bit of a military advantage here, but on the flip side here, Mosca, he's getting himself his upgrades. Goes for the frontline heroics as fast as possible. It's a big spend. It will slow him down here. Meanwhile, Mermillo's charging forward. Going to try and keep the wall up for a little bit. Not going to be able to get himself his heroes in just yet. Now he pulls back and he can actually go for them. They will be nice and cheap. You can see here, 32.20. But still expensive when you think about it. So the mana now getting slapped down. Mosca's still trying to wait. Upgrade advantage is in Mosca's hands as the fight to come through. This is a tough fight for Grass to take, in all honesty, because you can simply just garrison the Mermillos into the tower if they're close to dying. 3 Caladria flying overhead, though, could be really, really big as a Carnivore gets dropped down for both players. Mermillo's going down. Mermillo heroes trying to take each other out. Microing this is going to be next to impossible as the Mermillo heroes come through to finish off the Carnivora of Grass. Not able to do so just yet. 3 HP remaining. It is just outside of range, it looks like, as the mana of Mosca is almost taken out. Mosca charges forward. At this point, I'm asking, am I going crazy here? Why is there not a Kirikara Ballista? This is a barracks. Why is it not a counter barracks? One Kirikara Ballista prevents all of this from happening. Especially on Lush and especially with channels. But it's not happening, and Grass is just going to continue to spam Mermillos until he sees Mosca do anything else. Medium Mermillo now in for Grass as Mosca continues back and forth. The fight for the time being cannot favor Mosca. Yes, he's got himself the extra regen from fighting on the Gaia Lush, but he needs his medium infantry in. A quick look at the Mermillo count. 21 to 17. Mosca has got a very long way to go. Catch back up. Low HP Mermillo does manage to stay alive here. And of course, we'll get healed up by the Caladrias of Mosca. There is an armory at the back, and Mosca has gotten himself an armory upgrade. On the other side, Grass hasn't gotten anything. So once the medium Mermillos are in, there is going to be somewhat of an angle here. As the fight just continues to happen on this position. 1 Kara Ballista hero. Is it too much to ask for? I think so. One little kill onto that Mermillo, not able to do so. Is Mosca feeling like he can actually win the fight? Doesn't look like that's the case. He's going to pull back onto his Lush, heal back up. And of course, Grass is going to be doing the same with his Caladrias. There's a little bit more healing from the on the way side of Mosca here. Oracle Hero decides that he wants to get involved before getting sniped. Mosca yet again trying to push forward. I'm confused on the attempt here. Of course, there will be another fight soon, which is going to be involving a Carnivora and a Shockwave from Grass. And for the moment, with Mosca buying upgrades and all that other good stuff, he doesn't actually have the favor just yet to play around that. I'd love to see another mana coming up onto the front or economic guild to allow Mosca to move out of his base a little bit. Now, of course, I'm questioning the full Mermillos because, in my experience, Kara Ballista have been very good, but clearly these guys have played this matchup out. They've played the fact that they build a Kara Ballista and they don't like it. Meanwhile, up onto the top side, mana's going up, and there is the Oracle already there to check things out. As this citizen will have to make a break for it into the mana. Of course, a fight up there. You almost just have to make the fight happen. The Caladria gets spent. That means no Carnivora for just a little bit longer. What's the favor generation rate? 14 per minute. So he has to wait Probably about half a minute before he can build or use his Carnivora God power. Citizen has escaped up onto the top side. Another economic guild to come through onto the front there for Mosca. More Murmillos coming in. And on the back side of this, Grass has actually decided to stop spamming units. The other thing that I sort of want to bring up is if there was a Hero Hero Karabala, well, the Caladria can actually get taken out then. Because they have the homing ballistics. Meanwhile, blue units coming forward. And Grass will abandon this position. He's going to be losing the mana. And the citizens will be able to get back home as Hyperion now on the way. Rhea on the other side from Mosca is, I guess it's not too crazy. It makes sense. With this amount of Murmillos, the idea is to get Rhea in and get that Mithril Breastplate. No, that's not what it's called. The Orichalcum Mail through. As the Murmillos charging in. A little bit of back and forth. He says, I just want to kill the mana. Let me kill your mana. The Orichalcum Mail comes through and then, well, the Murmillo of Mosca hard win the fights. Now, Hero Murmillo is coming in from Grass. He does have himself his own upgrade, so they are cheap as well. It kind of looks like there isn't any solid advantage for Grass outside of the fact that he's going to be like a minute ahead on the age up. Now, with these economic guilds going around, of course, Mosca just needs to run and stay out of here because, well, there's going to be a chaos and that's going to be problems. No need to really take a fight, just play defense. And Grass says, I don't care about your guy Lush. Let me just charge through here. He's got one idea and one idea alone to come in and hit this gold mine. 175 pop. It's a huge power spike for Grass as Mosca bails off the gold mine. His citizens are quick at 4.4 speed. Heavy comes through for Grass. Armory upgrades on the Grass side. He does have the same upgrades as Mosca. As the citizens will attempt to move forward, but there is a Satyr in. It's going to be some damage there. More Hero Murmillos converting. The timing advantage for Grass is just so big. Taking this fight just can't be good. Mosca trying to delay. Now says it's time to turn. Carnivora gets dropped down for both players. On top of the Lush, there goes the Chaos. Trader onto that backside as the Satyr gets stolen away. Orichalcum Mail is coming through, but it's going to be incredibly late. More Murmillos coming in. This is a lot of dead units for Mosca, and Grass is simply put just going to win this fight. What can you do now is Mosca. Orichalcum Mail is slow to come through. The citizens here are going to get pushed off of the gold mine. Citizens pulling back, trying to get back to safety, but the Murmillos, they are too quick. They will not be allowing it. And Grass takes the first win in a game that can only be described as where were the Cairo Ballista? I don't care who you are. Build some counter units. Like, literally, you know that this is going to come, right? The whole idea here from Grass is to go full Murmillos, drop Chaos down, push. But if you have yourself a wall here, and you can sit behind it, pelt the heavy Murmillos with 4 or 5 Carabalista, and he can't do anything. You've also got the Gaia Lush to run. Well, first game from Grass. It's got to feel good to get off to the races there. As Grass gets the first win. Let's jump over to the draft and see what the next game is going to be bringing us. Ecograph is as you would expect. Gaia in the lead. Gaia they're in the lead. All right, so Blue Lagoon, Amaterasu, Odin is our next matchup. So another exciting one here. I like this matchup quite a lot. On Blue Lagoon. See what style Grass has here, because I haven't seen his Odin. Surprising that Uranus hits heroic age first. Well, he does have himself the fact that there's less technologies being grabbed. So while there is a slight lead for the Gaia, he's got to spend more resources on technologies, basically, is I think the story or the explanation there. But now, yeah, Amaterasu, Odin, still not an easy matchup for either side. Lots of ways things can go wrong here. Of course, you've got the wall spammage ideas from Heimdall. You've got Valkyrie raid ideas as well. Of course, on the side of Mosca, he's got Death Ball ideas, which are quite difficult to deal with as Norse. Things like Mass Yumi Archer with not Halberdiers, with Yadi Spearmen, which are also really, really strong. So he can kind of go whichever way that he wants where that's concerned. There's also Samurai, there's also Naginata Raiders and things like that can kind of be built. But whenever I think about playing versus Norse, try to avoid building Cav unless I'm also going to be building infantry. So Cav infantry is kind of working versus Norse at the moment. So maybe staying away from the Yumi Archers and going into something like Yadi Spearmen and Naginata Riders also makes sense here. But we don't have to guess. We don't have to posture. We don't have to make it up as we go along. Game 2, Mosca versus Grass is on the way. Blue Lagoon. Let's check it out. If I can find where it is on my thing. Alrighty, into game number 2. Left side of the map, Mosca playing as Amaterasu. Right side of the map, Grass playing as Odin. It is Blue Lagoon. Let's check out the relics before we try and dissect the matchup all too much. Atlatl of Ergatl is here. This is an insanely strong relic for Mosca, I would have to say. It's also really good for Grass to help him take out things like Samurai a little bit more efficiently. Hori's hunting bow over here, plus 5% of the base gather rate of huntables. Huge relic for Grass because he's already got a boosted hunting gather rate as Odin. Anvil for Hephaestus up there as well for the gold research cost, minus 50% there for the armory. And then we have Svadilfari's Sledge, fortress-like buildings, favor cost set to 0. Alrighty, into the main base here. There is the gold mine that is somewhat exposed. And generally speaking, a somewhat exposed gold mine can fall victim to forest fires. So a forest fire here knocks out the shrine. And even if you're going for like a Shrine of the Hunt type idea to protect your gold mine, the shrine's probably going to die. And then you're in some trouble here. That being said, Mosca's going to drop the temple as well. And he might not drop his Shrine of the Hunt here anyways. Also, there are the angles of going for things like Undermine or Heimdall and trying to make that work. Grass as well. He's deciding to go for a little bit of a more stock standard build. No fast Hersa. No fast advance. Slow and steady. Gets his house up randomly over onto this side. Not a problem there, but he's not going for a fast advance. He's going to come back, drop his temple, and just play what we like to call stock standard Odin. What's the advantage of this over going for the early temple into early Hersa into relics? Well, the basic advantage is you just get your military buildings down a little bit more quick. Because you don't have to worry about idle time or walking time on the palm trees. You get your wood in a little bit more efficiently, and you are good to go. Minakata coming through for Mosca as the Mosca Miko does pop out, and a shrine on the back almost indicates that this is going to be Shrine of the Hunt here, because this doesn't really help Mosca out all too much, but that Shrine of the Hunt doesn't help out Mosca to defend his gold mine either. That being said, you don't really know that forest fire is coming. Losing this forest, this shrine, opening this position up, that's something you just have to deal with a little bit later. When Yudo pops out, Hersa coming through. It's the scouting from grass. A little bit unfortunate. Misses that Ahakatel of Ekatel. How do you say it? I don't even know. Atlatl of Ekatel. Misses that one as the Hori's hunting bow does come through. And that's going to be nice. If we take a look at the actual food situation, up onto the top, you can move to hunt here. You can move to berries here. There's hunt in the middle of the map. Hunt at the bottom side of the map. Dojo now coming through for Mosca. As the forest fire gets dropped onto the bottom side here. That there is a decision that, to be honest, I don't get in the slightest. Kills off a lumber or a mill. A water mill. And Mosca just moves over onto his cherry trees. Meanwhile, the Valkyrie coming through to try and take out the Naginata Rider. Lots of damage to come in onto this one, but it will be able to get away from here, especially with the help of the Kitsune, which moves 6.3 speed. A little bit faster than that Valkyrie. And of course, Mosca is going to heal that one up. So both players winning out there in a little bit. On the favor side for Grass and on the Bushido side for Mosca. Up to the top side. Grass does make a move here, and he has to be careful. Got to be very, very careful about these Naginata Rider shenanigans as the raiding cavalry are going to come through. And I'm not surprised here. I was talking about a style of Japan or Japanese that sort of makes sense versus Norse, which is infantry, or just even a style versus Norse, which just kind of makes sense, which is infantry plus cavalry. So we're going to be seeing samurai, but I am a little confused as to why no Yari over samurai. Now, samurai are good for Amaterasu because you get a little bit more Bushido from them, but they're not really going to be super useful to take out the raiding cavalry. So we'll see how it goes. Amplifies this in for who? Amplifies this in for Grass there. As he's still looking to put some pressure down onto this bottom side. Raven ends up getting burned alive. It will come back after 60 seconds. But oftentimes I notice everybody just sort of forgetting the Raven. When not 60 seconds, it's more than 60 seconds, isn't it? 180 seconds. 3 minutes. That's why people forget about it. It just takes so long to come back online. Nonetheless, Mosca pulls back. Lots and lots. Not Mosca. Well, Mosca now pulls back. Grass pulls back. Lots of units in for Grass now, though, as he says, all right, I'll take out your house and try and enter onto this position. So units will come around onto the back, trying to take out some units while this is all going on. Of course, little bits of back and forth here because you can heal up, but little bits of damage. Takes down the... Doesn't quite take down the house. Leaves that alive. As with the samurai in, Grass has got to abandon ship. So an axeman comes through. That's a target now, though, for the samurai on the retreat. But Mosca respects that retreat, says, I'm not going to go for the small value plays. Let's just keep it calm. Now we also see Yumi Archers coming in. Now, if you go Yumi Archers, you kind of need a lot of them. I think this is going to be tough for Mosca to make work. He's already committed to the Naginata Cavalry and the Onimusha Samurai sort of comp. And how to mix in the archers. I feel like Grass is going to have some advantage here. Grass doesn't yet have himself any upgrades from the Great Hall. He has been going into his Valkyrie first, so he gets himself the Shield Maiden Valkyrie. When Raiding Cavalry gets sniped, as the Naginata Rider raid coming through. Is there any weaknesses in this main base for Grass? Answer is, why, yes, there are. Villagers, dwarves. Everything is a weakness right now for Grass as Mosca gets through, sneaks in. He will be killing off the Rhino here. Not sure what the Rhino did to him, but he will take that out. He's got to be careful to play around this line of sight of Grass as well, but he runs straight past it. Does Grass notice this or not is the big question. Answer is he does not. Now the Naginata Rider's into the main base, and Grass, well, he is about to lose big time on this raid. 2 villagers going down. The villagers on the top also getting taken out. It's 1 Herso here to try and fend things off. 3 villagers down. A 4th one potentially. Not just yet. Raiding Cavalry coming back to try and take these guys out as a dwarf now going to be getting targeted down. It manages to get into the tower there safely, but some huge damage gets inflicted. Raiding Cavalry gets sent packing over here as well. Up to the top side, there's also the food villages that Mosca can try and take out. As Grass very much in a tough position now. The villagers up onto the top side. They haven't been spotted yet, but they're about to be. As the Grass villagers pull back. Units up here now trying to get some defense in. Do manage to do so. And the Naginata Riders, well, they're going to be out of here. That being said, are they going to be out of here? As now Grass comes in. He's got the surround. Takes out the one Yudo onto the backside. Throwing Axemen. They need to be microed in a way to take out the Samurai while also having some sort of a front line there. There goes the Solar Shield for Mosca. Is this a good fight for Mosca is the big question. Onto the backside, Samurai going down. Samurai on the front side going down. Military differential is looking very, very close to equal, but there's lots of low HP units here. The micro is going to be so important as a Raiding Cavalry taking out the rest of the Naginata Riders, and it looks like Grass is going to come out the victor on this first fight. Big advantage for Grass now is that his Valkyries are alive. All these low HP units would come back up to full HP regardless because he has Odin and he has the regeneration. But with the Valkyries, he's going to have a lot less time to have to play with. Meanwhile, the Mosca units, all the low HP ones died. So huge advantage. And not only that, favor is in now for Grass. So he can make a lot of Valkyrie if he wants. An extra 3 or 4 potentially Valkyrie out. Mosca, on the other hand, well, he is still just spamming out his units. He's nearly up to Bushido tier 3, which is the major scary thing to deal with here as Odin, as Norse. Still no medium upgrades for Grass. Mosca's going to be heavy soon. Armory situation, Grass does have his upgrades on that. So technically speaking, he does have medium upgrades, if you want to consider it like that. On the flip side, there's not an armory up for Mosca. So no medium cav, but he's got an extra effective HP of the 10% and the damage of 10%. So that's what medium gives you. Grass swinging around this side, looking to find the villages. Of course, there are villages in the center of the map now. Armory comes in. Walls coming up as well. Trying to defend himself. Grass just making sure that no funny business is going on down the bottom, checking the town center. Units coming up to the top side to try and hit this as Grass has to get back home. Still no medium Raiding Cavalry. That is a very big, confusing decision. As the Raiding Cavalry come through here, there's an opening and Grass sees it, but Mosca is paying attention. He's like, where are the cav? Well, they're on my food villages. All right. Lots of damage to come through here as Grass is trying to cut the units off on the retreat. Picks one villager, gets a couple of units. The Naginata Riders are coming back in here as well as Grass needs to make that decision. Do you take the fight or not? Medium cav is coming in and they will take the fight. Units back over here trying to pull back as well. Grass is going to be hitting both sides here as best as possible, but those throwing action are a little bit slow to get in. Raiding Cavalry for Grass are looking like they're going to be winning this fight because the Miko, well, there's no heroes here. on the Musha a little bit late to get involved as the throw and axeman coming through. The raiding cavalry might want to pull away from this side to get onto those Yumi archers. The Bushido is coming through now. Heavy is in, but 4k military resources for Grass, and he's on top of the gold mine. Throw and axeman going to be taking out those samurai as well up here, as those are all going to get taken down. The raiding cavalry finishing everything. Villagers starting to shank up here too. As Mosca says, if I can just stay alive here, maybe it's going to be okay. More Valkyrie coming in, more reinforcements. There's 64 military to 20, and it's looking like Grass is going to be rushing to a 2-0 lead in this semi-final. Is it just pure domination today? And Mosca taps out. What a push from Grass as Mosca tried to secure this position, but yet again was burned by what? By not putting the villagers onto the walls. He would have netted the same amount of resources regardless, but instead opted in for a little bit more earlier to spend, and he lost everything on allowing those raiding cavalry in while he was trying to pressure. But I mean, that being said too, I feel like after Mosca got in here and got these villager picks, he tried to put so much pressure onto Grass when he probably could have just bailed out. He picked off 3 or 4 vills, just sit on that advantage and win the game. Very un-Mosca-like to try and force the fight there. And Grass is taking full advantage here as he's now up 2-0. As it's looking like it might be a Grass versus Tunison final at the moment, unless Mosca can pull something out. As the next map, well, it's going to be on Ghost Lake. So let's check out the draft and see what they're going to pick. It's going to be a fun one. I'm letting you guys know. Well, when your back is up against the wall, you're down 0-2. Who do you turn to but the god that has done you justice and carried you through thick and thin for the longest time ever? Mosca locks in Poseidon. Grass, on the other hand, he has to know that Poseidon is coming here. And he picks Thor. He picks Thor. Very, very interesting here from Grass. Not an easy matchup to play, in my opinion, for the Thor. A lot of people like to say that Norse is really good versus Greek, but I think that Poseidon has got a lot of angles here to play. Early Hermes attacks on 1 gold mine sort of situations. You've got defensive Ares type ideas that are also tough to deal with if it ends up being a Dwarven Armory opening and a defensive gold mine situation. You can even play the same sort of style with Hermes, fast second town center ideas while putting light pressure on with an Atalanta and Centaur against those early Dwarven Armory openings. We've also been seeing Norse players not want to go for the Dwarven Armory, instead going for fast advances. That might be the play from Grass. We'll have to wait and see what the option is going to be. But the map is Ghost Lake, and this is going to be an exciting one. Let's jump into it. Well. Mosca has not made it easy on himself. Game 3, down 0-2. Poseidon versus Thor on Ghost Lake. Grass opens Dwarven Armory on a 1 gold mine Ghost Lake though. He's got the back gold, he's got the boars here. You almost know that Mosca's first instinct here has to be to rush. But he's going for a storehouse. This does slow down the advance time a small bit. He's going for another villager on wood, which slows down the advance time a good chunk. It's not going to be the Mr. style of early aggression into whatever happens next. It's going to be the Mosca style of, I don't have any idea what he's planning here. Gold mine situations, there's plenty of them. It's an 8 gold mine Ghost Lake. Town centers, however, they're not looking super amazing. Mosca does have, well, both players do have themselves some hunt close to the second town center, but it's too far away to just drop this and go for it. And that plays into the grass strategy as well. Temple now coming up for Mosca. Relics on the map. Arrows of the Alpha. Buildings get a little bit of extra damage. Could be nice to grab that and go for the town center potentially. System of Blast over here as well. For the food, wood, gold cost minus 15% of the villages. Onto this side, we have the Dragon Palace Crystal, which is wall and tower hit points plus 10%. And at the top of the map, Tower of Cestus. So there is a little bit of value to be taken from going into some towers in this game to play a defensive game. But even so, it's a little bit risky to make that happen. Temple coming down. And the first thing to point out here that is dangerous on the grass side is that grass has opted for an incredibly gold hungry build order. Pure dwarf means every single dwarf he builds, they're only 50 gold, but every single dwarf he builds is going to mean 50 gold less in this home gold mine, which means he will have to move out onto a second gold mine very, very quickly. There are some other builds that are out there which can help out where that's concerned, but Mosca, he is playing for the most... I'm going to... Look, I'm just going to say it. I'm sorry. Divine, I love you. But this is what we call a divine town center. There's nothing close to it. Gold mine. Sure, there's a forest here. There's a wood. There's like a cliff here. Sure, you can try and grab it. But this is one of the worst town centers you will ever see. And Mosca says, I'm taking that one. Absolutely wild. Meanwhile, Grass still getting himself his upgrades. We will see the Centaur coming in. The one thing that I don't particularly like from Mosca in this decision is he doesn't show Grass anything. So what do I mean by that? If I am playing here as the Thor, I'm just thinking, where are the Hippias? Where's the Atalanta? If he's not attacking me with them, well, he's gone for a second town, and I'm already making those guesses as the Thor player. And if I know that the Poseidon player is gone for 2 TCs, well, now I get to construct my plan as the Thor to get my own second talent center or to go for a really solid all-in. That being said, if you were to charge in with, say, 2 or 3 Hippias right away, you can make it look like you're going heavy on the classical fight, which forces the Thor player to stay put and say, what's going on? Not really very much. I don't know. And I think Grass, well, he has read this very, very nice. He moves out onto this side. He's looking for his town center immediately. And the Berserk here for Grass now coming in to check things out. A little bit of respect here from Grass, I'd say. I don't think, well, I mean, it's kind of respect. He doesn't really know what town center is being grabbed or how bad it is. But if there was a time to go full send and full aggro, it's right now. Mosca is building himself out some Hippias. This Berserk has got the information that it wanted. But, I mean, Grass doesn't really know how bad this position is for Mosca, does he? He sees the hunt. He should know there's a gold mine here, but to what extent this is defensible, he doesn't really know. The cliff spawn in, the forest here, it's all a little bit different. Up onto the top, though. Mosca, smartly, in, but doesn't quite have enough stuff here to really get this fight happening, as the Hippias are going to try and just dive past, going after the Berserks. A little bit of delay. Any amount of delay here is really big, as the Hippias trying to ignore that Hercules there. It's not a Hercules, it's a Hersa. Wants to stop more units to come in, and Grass will turn. Bit of a misclick there onto the special attack from the Centaur, as Centaur trying to get that damage done. Does get slapped by the Hersa a little bit as the damage to come through. Taking a little bit of damage onto the Centaur isn't the end of the world. Great control by Mosca, as he does get that special attack off onto the Berserks. Healing Spring gets dropped down. Grass doesn't want to give up on this position. Of course he doesn't. More units to come in, though, from Mosca. He's trying to take the fight, but this is just not a winning fight. He gets the delay that he needs, though, and that's the big deal. 5 seconds remaining. Town center up. Differential on villages is 37 to 30 at the moment. Great snipe there with the Herdman, but a return fire from Mosca. It's not a good trade, but it's a trade nonetheless. Into the backside, random troll causing some issues here. Is there a hero? There is a Theseus that could get built out as the Centaur comes through. Will be potentially an answer here, though the troll, you have to dodge the projectile. 1.5 speed versus, is this 1.5? You can basically dodge the projectile, get your shot off, and then dodge the projectile again. If you really want to sweat hard on that micro, it's possible. Mosca is also out onto the right food, and he's over onto this left gold. There's a lot of opportunities here for Grass to get raiding. But this game is looking like it is going to be going very, very late. Relic gets picked up there by Mosca. You know it's a pro player when the relic gets picked up and never gets dropped into the temple. It's just something that we know happens in these sorts of games, as the Berserk's coming down onto the bottom side. I love this house from Grass. Knowing that this town center hasn't been taken from Mosca is a huge amount of information. As Mosca is going to continue on his Hippias ways. Centaur also coming down. There are 6 villages on the favor. This is something that I've brought up a while ago about... great little house down over here as the Grass Berserks don't really notice what's happening. But this is something that is very, very important. Centaur, once you get the numbers of them, currently become ridiculously strong. So 6 villages on favor will slow down the Mosca economy a little bit, but he's going to get some really powerful units here. And they're also moving at 6.3 speed, so they're able to stay away from stuff as these Hippias raids coming in. Almost gets a Vil pick, not able to do so. One hit from death on both sides as the Hippias trying to sandwich there. Not losing anything. Both players get away without too many issues. And Mosca is now going to head to the Heroic Age. Walls coming up onto this bottom side from Grass to just try and lock things off. A market or an armory. An armory coming through from Mosca here. And I have to imagine it's going to be Dionysus. Dionysus makes a lot of sense. Already going into the Hippias. Aphrodite also makes some sense here as well. The combination of Nemean Lion plus Centaur. Not something I've really seen anyone doing. But if you can get that special attack off in sync, well, you just do a ton of extra damage to your opponent's units. With the Centaur special. Stun from the Nemean Lion, stuns the units. And anyways, a little bit of a raid coming in here as the Centaur, Hippias do get pulled back nicely. Mosca is still just trying to poke here. He's doing a great job of it as Skadi is coming through. A little surprised not to see Bragi here from Grass. It's not like you really 100% need the Bragi, but having Herdman with Swine Array kind of makes some sense at the moment. And also you prevent the ceasefire from ever getting cast. Meanwhile, walls going down from Grass as well. And Mosca pulls back. Every single time Mosca does these retreats, the thing that he does, it's really important, is he makes sure to move the centaur by themselves. Otherwise, they naturally go to the back of the Hippias. So I'm loving how consistently he's managing to make that happen. As over onto this side, Hippias versus Berserks ends up being a bit of a Berserk advantage for the time being. This other Hippias going to be cleaning up the other Berserk. Back to the town center he goes. Heroic Age in. Hippias pulling back. Got to be careful to not get frosted in a position where you can get trapped by walls. Mosca is now out of here, and he's going to immediately go into these Hypaspist. And this becomes hard for Grass. He's going to drop an immediate hill fort up onto the top, but Hypaspist, Hippias, how do you beat that comp, especially with the Centaur as well? Now the Centaur get a really nice front line. Goaty might be an option. Throwing Axemen are going to be needed. We'll see if Grass can manage to make it happen, but Mosca is looking in complete control here. Now, of course, it might be a decent idea to keep the Hypaspist back and safe and out of line of sight to just keep that knowledge away. Because Grass might say, oh, you went for Hypaspist? Great, let me go into Jarls. Jarls make a huge amount of sense here on the side of Grass, but he's now only just putting the Great Halls down, and I don't believe he's got... Well, he does have medium raiding cavalry, so he does have a plan to go that way. As the stable goes down, or the Great Hall goes down, Winter Harvest coming through here as well for Grass to boost up that economy. On the flip side, Thracian horses coming through. We've also got heavy cavalry coming in as well, as this Hippias will clean up the wall, just making sure nothing's going on out the backside. And the Great Wall of Mosca to protect the rest of this position and look to get over here is huge. Hippias coming through as the Berserks are trying to sneak in onto this spot. Mosca notices that. He is very active with these Hippias onto this side now. The Herdman trying to come through and deflect the raids. Of course, the Centaur can sort of make things very, very easy for him as he does drop his walls onto this position. This one Berserk goes down. More Berserks trying to streamline over onto that spot. I'd love to see a couple of the Hypaspist make their way over there as the Hippias control... The Hippias control from Mosca here is just... I can't understate this. It is out of this world. A huge win on the fight there is another fight to happen. Still no heavy Hippias in, but now it's finished. And that's going to change some things up onto the top side. Town Center trying to come through as the Hypaspist get brought back. And the walls for Mosca are just about finished. And again, keeping his Hippias alive. You have to remember with Lord of Horses, 0.5 HP per second means every Hippias you keep alive is... I don't know. It's just such a gigantic advantage. Now Grass coming up onto this top side. Ursa come through. Will be a dead Hydra as well as an Atalanta as a hill fort gets dropped. And Grass is looking to make something happen in this next moment. And of course, Mosca, well, he's got Ceasefire, so he can drop that whenever, but you want to save it for Frost, right? He's charging up to the top as the Dwarves pull off of the gold mine here. There's another gold mine onto the right side as well. But onto this position, in comes the portable Rams, and Mosca's kind of caught out here. Yes, losing the town center isn't the worst thing in the world because he does get access to those militia. He pulls off with the fortress here. Centaur come in, and Ceasefire does get dropped. Now, well, there's going to be a Frost, and the town center is dead. Of course, Mosca knows that to some degree. He's now going to pop over here and try and finish off the fortress, but there's not enough time. 30 seconds. 12 seconds. Can Grass make this happen now in this next moment? Mosca, 5 military academies, 5 stables. Armory upgrades looking good. Armory upgrades for Grass, not quite as good either, as there goes the Frost. 1 second from completion on the fortress. It's not fast enough. The town center will go down, which means all the militia in the world to pop out. They can try and just dive into the fortress if Mosca wants to. It's not a terrible idea where that's concerned. The town center, you're kidding me. A town center coming up now for Grass is a ridiculous idea because there's bronze after this. There is bronze after this. 14 seconds to town center without question will finish up for Grass. We will have a little bit of damage to come through, but Mosca is just going to click. He's 100% just going to click bronze here. At least I assume he is. As there he goes. Centaur get pulled back. And Grass, well, he's going to trade the town center for the bronze. In essence, that is trading Frost for the bronze. He loses out on his portable rams. A little bit of damage to come through as Grass is out of there. We are still seeing the raids onto the villages while this is all going on. Brutal stuff from Mosca to keep on slowing down this economy of Grass. As these longhouses as well will get taken down. And behind this, the most terrifying of Mythic Ages is coming through. When the Greek player is in the lead, when the Greek player has the first Mythic Age to come through, when the Greek player has a full army out, and he clicks Hephaestus, well, let's just say you're going to be having some troubles here moving forward. Full iron Greek army will be in a matter of 3-ish minutes here, ladies and gentlemen. Mosca's got 3 armories up. He's already got 1 bronze upgrade. The only thing that Mosca is lacking right now are heroes. 2 heroes out. Of course, he wants to get himself everything he possibly can to deal with the Frost Giants. As the Centaur on the back line, keeping those so safe. It's just so much damage. Look at the damage they've done. So it's not as much as I would have expected, but it's still really, really strong as the town center goes up. And to some degree here, Mosca has been caught out as he will be pulling away from this fight. All the units in queue, though, there's plenty of resources to rebuild this army. On top of this, Polyphemus will be coming through. Militia will come in to help out on the fight to boot. Mosca, though, he is throwing this position a little bit. Does he need this? It kind of does. Gold mine situation is not super ideal here as the portable ram slowly taking out the fortified town center. Centaurs, the pacifists coming out onto this position. A random Petropolis here for Mosca is a little bit scary as Grass's full send on the aggression is terrifying. There goes the Plenty Vault. I mean, to some degree, I feel like Mosca could have just given up the town center, not fought, stayed full pop, gone to full upgrades, and it would have been fine for him. But now, Forge of Olympus is in, upgrades coming through, villagers on this gold mine. Well, they're open for the pickings here. So now hoplites are going to be attempting to get built. And Mosca yet again taking this fight. Really shouldn't be. He needs more units, but the fortress does fall. Militia pop out. They're going to take out the portable rams as Mosca says, I just need some time. And guess what time he's got? He's got ceasefire time. The town center will be up. And of course, Grass will take this opportunity now to spam down buildings in this position. But all Mosca needs is time. 100 villages means about, well, that's 6,000 resources a minute. So 3,000 resources to come in. Means he can get himself to full population. On top of that, time kicks through. Full iron. No champion units just yet. That's the only real issue. Town center is up. There's a villager's garrison away. And of course, an attempt to rebuild this wall would be pretty devastating as well. The Polyphemus is going to be coming through here. Mosca needs just a little bit more time. He's getting his Tyroi out in an attempt to maybe take out those throwing axemen. It seems the town center is not long for this world. Mosca makes a break outside of these walls. And Grass is fighting back so well here. But in comes the Mosca army now. Full iron. Didn't manage to get himself his Polyphemus out. Just the one hero. And Frost will get dropped down. Hits the villagers a little bit. No, the villagers are still there. Frost gets dropped down. Town center getting grabbed. And Balder is now on the way for Grass. Hippias up to the top, however. They're going to see the opportunity to take villagers out. There is this gold mine over here. One Petropolis and a Dream to take the town center out onto the top side. Colossus into the main town center as well, as the villagers are going to try and take that one down. Don't know if they're going to be able to do so. 700 HP. It's going to be somewhat close. Heroes now coming in. Champion on the way. Over onto this side, Fortress will get denied by those portable rams. This town center is the town center with Balder coming through, but it's not going to be enough. The Frost Giant pops out. Town center is safe. Up to the top side, Hippias hitting the gold villagers over here, and the differential in military now is stark as Mosca 190 pop to 150 pop for Grass. Grass pulls back. This town center will fall. These heavy Hetairoi are nearly fully upgraded, missing this one technology, Olympian weapons. But the big issue here is, if Grass can get full pop, Grass will have a real terrifying army to push Mosca off of gold. But in Mosca fashion, he's already got Donkey Caravan started. So he's got to do more than just push off gold. He's got to stop that trade route. Main base, Hippias raids, going to be just hitting everywhere. Frost Giant comes out. Hippias does fall up onto this side. A little bit of a high five there, as neither player are going to be paying attention as this hill fort goes down over here. Town center coming back up for Mosca. Balder is in, but there's a long way to go as an attempt to get these walls through has gone a little bit unsuccessful. Town center still coming in, but this Polyphemus is going to be enough. Big smack there. Does a huge amount of damage to everything. Is the Tyroi going to continue to try and get this damage done? Grass just needs time to get himself to a position to click this Ragnarok. Never mind. He's going right now. It's Ragnarok time. He's got himself only 59 Hero of Ragnaroks, though. That's not enough. Mosca has been at the defense against Ragnarok for I don't know how long. He's going to be able to defend this. Probably. He's got a lot of gold in the bank, a lot of food in the bank. Militarily speaking, Hypaspis are coming through. Needs more military academies. But into this position he comes. It will be a dead town center most likely, but for it will be a bunch of dead units as the Tyroi coming through. Still no Olympian weapons. There's another bronze from Mosca. These Tyroi are going to be doing so much damage. They've got 1.4 area of effect here, while their base damage is a little on the low side. They're going to be cleaning everything up, and Grass, the one last ditch effort inside of the rag, is not enough. Couldn't even clean the town center. And Mosca does what Mosca does best. He shows everyone what it means to be a Poseidon player in 2026. What a game from Mosca. The ups and downs were there. It was not without its problems, but he manages to find the dub. He just exerts his presence the entirety of this game, and he gets the win. Still alive, but still a long way to go here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's jump back to the draft and see what's going to happen for game number 4. Next game. Everyone's favorite Budapest. I would say absolutely shocked to see these god picks. But I am not shocked to see the Hades. I am, however, shocked to see the Susanoo. I don't know what the idea is. I don't know what the strategy is. I do know what the strategy is from the Hades. He wants to get to the heroic age. He wants to put a fortress in your face. He wants to put sentinels down, and he wants to start sieging you. So the answer to that needs to be what? Can you get away with just spamming units in the classical age? You do have to face up against a curse and a Nemean lion. Might not be enough. If there's a swampland that gets placed down on that position, then that also chews through a bunch of units. Maybe that's the idea. Another idea from Mosca could be one Udor. But that there is also risky because it's 3 heroes to take them out. Don't have to really guess anymore. Let's jump in and see what he's going to pick, but this is going to be an interesting one. Budapest is the way to go. And off to the races we go. Left side of the map, Mosca. Playing as Susanoo. Right side of the map, Grass playing as Hades. As the dock's coming down. And, well, I think I have just seen the idea here from Mosca. Kitsune, villager abuse. Look at the pushing from the Kitsune as well. I don't know if he's doing that on purpose or not, but that's a villager pick. And this game is off to the races. Big advantage for Mosca there. He's also got the Miko out. Well, that's going to be fun and games for everyone. Grass went double side into the center. And Mosca says, you don't know. I am Japan. I got the advantage here, son. And he gets the first kill. First blood. That being said, also, he can't. He's going to delete the dock. He's got to go for the backside here as well, as Grass will do that. Mosca on the flip side, he does the same thing. So what Mosca... Did he build out a Miko as well? No. Okay. Very, very, very big opening from Mosca. Huge advantage. Big's getting pulled back. Now, of course... There was counterplay to this. If you're paying attention, you just drop a wall down. Hide inside of that. Kitsune is going to be a problem, but of course Grass just probably wasn't aware of it. So it's just going to be a big fish boom now. The action is over. We can all just calm down for a little bit. Check out some relics. Left side of the map, Scales of a Catublopass. Damage vulnerability to pierce, minus 15%. Onto the bottom side, there is the Heavenly Jeweled Spear. Prodromus Spearman, Herban Catapultes. Plus 0.25 of their max range, which is always nice. What does that actually mean? It means they get to attack further away from them by a tiny bit, which is nice. Helps out the pathfinding and things like that in difficult situations. Trojan Gate Hinge there. Hit points plus 40% there for the walls. And finally, the Nine-Tailed Fox Charm. Mosca slowly getting his fishing ship through. There's still 2 more spots there. And it is going to end up being basically equal here, it looks like. I guess you can talk a little bit about the map layout, back gold mines. Budapest kind of spawns in a way that allows players to play backwards the kind of developer maps that we've normally seen on water maps tend to promote more aggressive play on the water maps. For example, Anatolia, all the gold spawns right in the middle. Midgard, same sort of deal. So yeah, Budapest sort of allows that backwards mobility type idea. You don't have to be pushing forward to actually get gold. So if you're in trouble, you can always say backwards is technically forwards. Mosca's getting his temple up, looking for the next age. Athena on the way for grass. Ajax coming through. And of course, he's going to be looking for some early game harassment. 3 Mikos out for Mosca at the moment as well. He might be needing those to deal with the early game harassment from like Ajax Achilles, restoration, and things like that. Meanwhile, off onto the corner of the map, sees himself a nice shrine position with the tree line and the gold mine. Holy paradise for Mosca on this bottom side. Deer, oak trees, and gold. I think this might be close to 2 favor a second. Oh, sorry, 0.2 favor a second. Just for a comparison's sake, this one here with just the forest, 0.08. Do we have some guesses in chat? 0.12. Still a big amount more. But nonetheless, classical ages coming through. Inari Okami from Mosca. I was about to say no surprises there, but not going for that Minakata Tomi means no one Udor. But I do think this idea of just spamming out units here as the Susanoo does make a lot of sense. Because you can just Swampland to almost counter the curse if grass wants to go fast heroic here. Stable coming up from Mosca over onto that side. More stables to come through. And a guardhouse as well from Mosca. Now the Bushi come through. We've also got Naginata Riders on the way from Mosca. And the Jurukumo trying to get in there. She's too slow. Could have been a dead Toskopos, but not today. And it will be Aphrodite. I'm not surprised on this in the slightest. We do have the stables in and Bushi coming through. So Bushi avoid the curse. But it's not like you could go mass on the Musha and Bushi to play around that curse to deny any sort of middle movements. And now the Naginata Riders to come forward. Let's get that headbutt out. Return fire just a little bit. Onto the bottom side. Miko versus Kataska. Miko does have 4.4 damage per second, so it's not a win for that wooden sword holding Kataska. Archery range coming up for grass. And Samurai on the way. And I think Grass is going to have to be careful here because this feels like a very, very different type of game. One, no water fighting, so no wasted resources there. Everything, almost everything from Mosca is getting invested into units. We do see the Zom in the main base as well, so no opportunities really to just walk forward and drop a fortress as the Swampland does get dropped down. There goes the Nemean Lion and Mosca pulling back. He's going up through Fujin right now. Oh, I'm getting excited at the Fujin. Fujin is a really good god on water maps for Susanoo. If you understand, if you get it, you get it. Now, lots of people in chat probably go, you got to go for Swamplands, because not Swamplands, for Thunderbursts. You got to go for Raijin. Go Raijin, get Raiju, spam out the Thunderbursts. But what Fujin offers is a real simple answer to a real big problem, which is that fortress that gets dropped in the middle of the map. Random Skylar feels happy to take out the wall over on this side. Unfortunately, not able to actually take out the full wall. As in comes the army of grass. There goes the Kusanagi, and Swampland will get dropped down onto this position as Grass is feeling like he can stay here. Now he's pulling back, so a lot of damage coming through from Mosca. Does deflect nicely. Still no Fujin in as the Samurai are trying to come through. Heavy is in for Grass. Very, very close game now moving forward. Now, can Mosca win these fights is the big question. He is facing up against heavy units. Decides to turn right in onto that Nemean line. Huge stun there. Mosca is looking like he is, without question, caught out, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Grass say, fantastic, let's walk forward and put that fortress up. He doesn't have the wood at the moment. He's cancelling Peltasts. And onto the forward movement he goes. He doesn't need to go straight in front either. He can put the fortress here and do a bit of a longer siege. But now Fujin is on the way with 150 favor, with 75 favor to come through as well. And there's going to be a lot of Oni. We'll see how it goes for Mosca, but the fortress will be up. I think Grass's best bet here actually might be to just rush to the Mythic Age. Either that, or he has to hit Mosca before the Death Ball is constructed. Meanwhile, over onto this side, the Ondamusha coming in. Sees that Skylar. Loch Ness, the Loch Ness monster, will get smacked. Grass not paying attention there for just a little bit. Gets sent away as the walls will come down. And immediately in comes the fortress as Oni Mask coming in. Ivory Netscape, Oni Mask. The only issue is it just takes time to set up. Mosca's going to just build his Oni for the time being. Feels like he doesn't have the time to set it up. This position here will get knocked down. Of course, he does have himself Smiting Gust. It was not a terrible idea to just send him flying to give himself that extra time. Alternatively, Smiting Gust him into your main base is another option. Naginata Riders in though, as Mosca is always looking for the raids. Comes through, hits the villages. There are sentinels and things like that, but 3 villages taken out. The unit's sitting here waiting, watching. And Mosca says, I'm ready to take the fight. He's about to have another Swampland in as well. Do you want to drop that or do you want to get the Oni out is the big question though. Stable from Mosca goes down. We got ourselves the ballistics coming through. Houses coming up from Mosca as well. In comes the Kusanagi. There goes the wind move away from the restoration. He will be able to, the Smiting Gust, he will be able to keep most of his units alive, but now the main town center is going to be under threat. We've got the Deadly Rage coming in. It looks like double temples are up for Mosca. I'm pretty sure he wins the fight if he takes it. But he might be losing the town center here. He's got to get his units back in. Villagers over here getting left as well. As in he goes. One Chiron and a Dream here. There's also a potential for a Swampland, which he will be dropping in. And immediately, Grass has to run. Lots of units to go down. The retreat here from the Nemean line and everything else. They're going to fall too. And looks like Mosca has survived for the time being. Mosca has survived for the time being. Now, Grass has to start thinking about doing things like rotating around the map, attacking different places. You can't match up versus these Oni in a head-to-head battle here. I think you need Cyclops, Minotaur maybe? I don't know. And in come the Oni. In come the samurai. In comes the heavy. Lots and lots of favor in the bank. More Yumi archers in queue. Not a whole lot of stuff in queue here for Grass either, as those Oni just simply put, do not die. Kusanagi gets dropped down onto this one as the hero's getting targeted down, and Mosca says, I can't stay here. He will pull back. Grass manages to live another day. There is 82 favor in the bank, but not enough food to really get this favor spent. Of course, another option here would be to Smiting Gust the army yet again into this base and go from there. More samurai in queue. The other thing here is these Onis are also building towards the next tier of Bushido, right? There's going to be champion units in momentarily here for, well, not momentarily, soon for Mosca. As the temple falls, not a big deal. He's got another temple here for the moment, and he will be dropping the Smiting Gust onto the back as the units come around to take the fight. Pretty nasty usage of that Smiting Gust, forcing the fight there. As the Oni, though, will get taken out by the Chiron as the Yumi archers and samurai to come through up onto this side, searching for villagers to kill, as Mosca does notice that. Trying to pull his villagers back to safety for the time being, picking off all of the Petropoli here. As the town center gets denied for the last little attempt there. Of course, Mosca will try and put that back up, but sort of doesn't realize. Nice play for Grass, getting a lot of value there, slowing that town center down. Of course, the town center is up for Grass on the top there as well. And now Mosca goes for his town center for the next time. Over here, Shade of Hades coming in, but the Miko are there. They can actually kill off those Shades of Hades, I'm pretty sure. And two hitting them, without question they can. So wall will come back up onto this spot. An attempt at a fortress on the front here is a little bit scary, but I don't think Grass has the units to make this happen. Will this get spotted is the question. It's just out of line of sight. Now it's not. Fortress is going to get sent, gets seen, gets spotted, and now Mosca on the move forward. He wants his Mythic Age. It will be Watatsumi. He doesn't have a castle up, though. How does he get to the Mythic Age without a castle? Castle into the main base is the option, it looks like. And of course, there's plenty of gold mines to choose from, but Grass decides to go for the forward one. It's a little bit risky where that's concerned. And to the right side, the heavy Naginata riders searching. Bushido still a ways away here. As the castle will complete, and Watatsumi is going to be on the way, which is very scary for the Grass army. Not only that, there's going to be access to Shinigami. There are still these Onis that can get spammed out, but with Oni Mask plus Shinigami, they will come out near instantly if he has the resources for them. As the Hoplites do manage to fend off the Naginata riders for the time being. And these Petropoli still causing a lot of chaos onto this side. There's options of another Kusanagi, potentially another Swampland or Smiting Gust here. So Miko's getting sent away. And I mean, there's plenty of positions back here to have a lot of favor. I don't know why Mosca wants to put them in those more difficult positions, but more Oni coming through as it's now 3 town centers apiece. It's a full population army for both players. And Mosca says, maybe I can force a fight. He just wants to threaten and catch Grass out in the center for a disgusting dragon typhoon. He says it's time to go, though, as the Kusanagi gets dropped down, the unit's retreating, and, well, straight back to the fortress he goes. I don't know if I like this move from from Mosca, because Grass is going to be next to the fortress, which means he can just garrison. Naginata Rider is going to defend that fortress going up onto the right side there. This is still back and forth for the time being. Incoming Gale's Fury to make those Naginata Riders a bit stronger. And of course, all Mosca wants is this army to get caught out in the center right here, right now. But he pulls back. Can he see everything? It looks like he can. Watatsumi is going to drop down right onto this position as the army of Grass attempts to run. Doesn't do as much damage as you might have expected, but the army is sitting inside of that Typhoon. Lots of low HP units. Restoration is going to be coming through momentarily, but a huge amount of damage now in. The Oni also gets stronger here. Now that they're in the Mythic Age, is this main town center under attack. Military Academy does end up going down. Hoplites getting taken down here as well. Now Grass going to try and get himself back out an army. He's looking like he wants a Mythic Age. I don't know if that's going to help him at this point. He needs units. But these, just take a look at the Oni. They got 1650 HP. They stay alive for so long here. And the heroes get popped so quickly by all those samurai. Now all of the heroes are down and the Oni can wander through. We've also got Oyumi coming in. Bushido on the way to tier 4. The main town center of Grass will probably be going down here. And Bushido tier 4? Well, that's full champion. That's 100 favor. Do you go in for more Oni? Do you go in for Shinigami? Do you go in for God Power? Is the big question. And it does look like, well, one Shinigami got picked off, so that's going to... Did it get picked off? No, it didn't. The Shinigami seems to be the option here for Mosca, as his Oyumi will wreak havoc. But there is a counter to this coming for Grass inside of Earthquake. Can Mosca force Game 5 here or not is the big question. And the big answer is yes, as Grass says, I am not able to continue here any longer. The rare Oni raid at the top. And Grass says, all right, Mosca, the reverse sweep is coming, but I'm going to save it for Game 5. Big win for Mosca here, keeping his tournament chances alive for this week. Gets the dub with the Susanoo. Does it with style with the Fujin. Let's jump over to the draft and see what we're going to see for game number 5. Well, unexpected. But it's happened. Our last game is on Mirage. You see the Zeus sitting there. You see the Frere sitting there. What would you expect on this map from what we've seen thus far? Pro players, they love their Greeks on this map. But Frere is a counter to those Greeks. Grass goes, oh wait, if I pick Zeus and he picks Frere, that there is a very tough matchup. But what if I pick Set and he picks Frere? Grass picks Set. Mosca goes, hang on, can I play Isis versus Zeus here? I don't think you can. I think Zeus is going to be very tough to beat with Isis on this map. to be completely honest. But can you play Freya versus Set? Kinda. I don't mind it, but it's not easy. Isis versus Set? That's a good matchup. What a tough final pick of gods for these two players. Isis and Set for game 5. Egyptian players rejoice. We got an Egyptian mirror, but it's not going to be a standard one. Set cheese is off the chain here. You've got aggressive shifting sands is early. You've got shifting sands is later for fortresses in your face. Isis has got the powerful Sobek and Osiris, as well as fast thoughts. There's also ideas of going in for spearmen as Set with Horus. All I can say is this one's going to be fireworks. All I can say is this one is going to have a lot of spice. We've got one last game here. After this game, we're going to be taking a short 15-minute interlude to give the winner of this semi-final a short break before they jump into the finals. It's a bit of a disadvantage, to be completely honest, to play your semi-final second in this format. That being said, Recon did it last week and he got the win. Backing up and playing a best of 7, not easy. So I salute the players as they try and make that happen. Dunison, well, he 3-0'd. And then he's just been sitting here for the past hour and a half, probably 2 hours, waiting for his next game. He is going to be fresh. He is going to be ready to go. And we'll see how it ends up shaking up. I've not seen an Egyptian mirror on this map since Legacy. Strap in. It's going to be very, very exciting. Let's check out Mosca versus Grass on the map Mirage. Alrighty, in the left-hand corner of the map, we got Mosca playing as Isis. In the right-hand corner of the map, we've got Grass playing as Set. It's game 5. All of the momentum, however, has shifted. Grass on match point for the past 2 games. And 2 tough losses. Thor versus Poseidon felt winnable for a moment. It felt like Grass had it in the center of his palm. Hades versus Susanoo felt winnable. But slip-ups when victory is at your grasp is something that is very well known. And Mosca holds on. He's got one more game to win here to go on and play against his practice partner, his teammate, Tunison, who is waiting in the wings. Grass doesn't want to allow that to happen. We've got a ridiculous matchup here. One that I haven't seen before on Retold, in Retold. Egyptian Mirror on Mirage. I wouldn't be surprised here. I wouldn't be surprised here if neither of these players have played this matchup on Mirage. I just wouldn't. Let's check out the relics. On the bottom side, we've got the Shenong's Okra Whip, boosting up some farmed shenanigans. Up onto this side, we have the Ulla's Bow, which is going to make the range attack go up by +1. Big relic there, actually. Talk about it later. Gugnir Odin's Spear, huge relic for Grass here to make his Spearman even stronger. And finally, Hermes' Winged Sandals. Big relic, actually, for Mosca, but Grass could also enjoy that. In fact, let's talk about the way that this matchup is developed. In the very start of Retold, the Egyptian Mirror was basically who can spam Camel Riders the best. It's a very silly matchup because there wasn't a fantastic counter to the Camel Rider. Of course, there was the Horus Spearmen and things like that. If you could get there, you'd be able to force some different things to happen. But oftentimes it was just rush Thoth, make Camel Rider, play with tempo, win game. That's not the case anymore. The Spearman is stronger. The Camel Rider, still very, very useful. The Chariot Archer, that's in a nice position as well. When we add... Ooh, what an interesting play here from Mosca with the fish garrison and the Pharaoh coming in. We got Sokar here. Hello there, Sokar, and thank you for your support, my friend. Relics, though. The fact of the matter is, +1 range on Ulla. You go Sekhmet, +2 range for your Chariot Archers, +1 range for your Chariot Archers. That's +3 range. That's huge. Ugna Odin Spear, you get extra 5% on your Spearmen. That's huge. And then the Hermes' Wing Sandals, +5% for your speed, for your cavalry, for your Chariot Archers. All of a sudden, I'm liking Grass's option here to go in for a very, very strong Spearman, Chariot Archer army. And he's going Anubis to also boost his Spearman up to boot. That being said, Mosca, he's coming out. He doesn't have his relic upgrade just yet. He hasn't scouted everything just yet, but he does see this. Onto this side, we've got a monument to the villagers through for Mosca because he just wants to play around Shifting Sands and play around Plague of Serpents. If he sees Shifting Sands, then he can just empower the monument to the villagers and he's kind of okay. But for the moment, it's just going to be onto the town center. Get that up as fast as possible. The keen zebra, the grass zebra here searching. Not checking the town center just yet. But with Mosca going for a fast second town center, doesn't this open up the world of the set cheese? I was talking about all of these late game situations, but that's not going to be the case here. Both players deciding it is going to be town center shenanigans. Back gold mine. There's some rhinos on the front here as well to grab. It's definitely going to be an option. Persane coming through for Mosca. Yeah, doesn't have himself the Flood of the Nile just yet. No upgrade just yet for Grass, but I'm sure he's going to be grabbing it soon. And it's a boom off. It's a boom off for game 5. For one chance at that ticket to Athens, guys. Nubite, little bit of dukage here. Pretty hard to actually kill off the Anubite if either player is paying attention because it just pulls back, heals up. Not much to make happen where that's concerned. Now, Necropolis on the way for Mosca. Persane finally coming through, Pickaxe coming through. And the big thing that I'm seeing here from Mosca, he hasn't dropped Prosperity yet. And I really like this. We've seen this way too often for too long. ISIS players' plan, it was nerfed recently and the specific plan was nerfed, but ISIS's players' plan was an early prosperity for a faster second town center and some more map control with priests. You hold on to that prosperity for a little bit longer and it gives you a gigantic boost of gold. Especially when you're playing in the 2TC situation, it's a really big deal. And Mosca knows what's coming for him, so he doesn't even have to react to anything. Just go to the heroic age. If Grass wants to play for the classical age here himself, well, what's he going to fight? What's he going to attack? There's not a whole lot. Nephthys, they've got a choice for Grass, though. Does leave me scratching my head just a little bit. It could be a fast mythic plan here for Grass. Drop Ancestors down and try and make that happen into Camel Rider. Or into Horus could be another option. But I do scratch my head where this is concerned as the Anubite in. A little bit of damage through. Villagers trying to get involved as, well, they just jump over to the tower and the priest is over here going to heal everyone up. That does slow down Mosca's heroic age just a little bit. And Mosca's forgot himself an armory. A little bit of mistakes here. This is the type of mistake that can really hurt. You're already behind on the tech. advance. Now the upgrade is coming through. Sobek on the way, but Nephthys is in, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Grass just wander forward and look to maybe slap a Migdol down right here, especially seeing that prosperity going down then. That kind of gives away that Mosca is very late to the heroic age. Sobek through. Sultan 4 are pre-queued. Mosca wants the economic upgrades. And the villagers, they wander forward. And I think this obelisk sees that. Yes, it does. Migdol Stronghold will be up. So there's a timing advantage here for Grass. And Grass goes for a siege works first. So not only does he have a timing advantage on the Migdol Stronghold, but he's got a timing advantage on the siege to boot. Both players are going to have a Plague of Serpents. Both players are going to have a God Power to drop here. But there's almost nothing that Mosca can do to stop this attack from hitting, because the siege towers are just everything. Vision gets dropped down onto this position as the villagers will pull back. There goes the Migdol Stronghold. One Petsukos and a Boit to try and hold this position. That's all he's got. Petsukos targeting down the Camel Rider for the moment. Gets 2 shots off. Big damage. The town center is dead. Mosca, I mean, he's got a lot of resource advantage, but losing the town center gives a big advantage over to Grass. That being said, Grass is housed. He's got them all queued up, but he's not building them. He is, without question, housed. I don't know if it shows that he's housed or not. The double Migdol's now up. Big spammage of Camel Riders to come through. No spearmen behind this. So the Camel Rider advantage for Mosca is going to be gigantic. Ancestors gets dropped. But where? On the back. Lets everything start to come through first. And then he will charge in to get as much damage as he possibly can. Petsukos gets brought back there. There goes the monument. Minions now charging forward. Scorpion Man goes down. Priests trying to heal everything up. Grass full send at the moment to try and take out these Migdol strongholds as the Sobek does get dropped down. The Locust Swarm goes down there. The villagers trying to shank down the siege towers. It's looking like this attack has failed. And Grass is sent packing. Absolutely huge for Mosca. Mosca going to drop his monument to the villagers back up, protecting himself from any impending god powers yet again. Of course, the villager advantage for Grass will start to come online. But does that matter? Siege works for Mosca. Monument to the soldiers through as well for potentially more Petsukos. Walls coming up all across the map as the Camel Rider raids will come up. Yet again, Mosca makes these walls, but only with one villager, and he is getting punished for it. Down a town center at the moment and getting hit on the economy hurts. This is the way through for Grass. I'd also love to see him just move into barracks and start making spearmen. Force out chariot archers. Force something different here from Mosca, because Mosca's got all the advantage inside of the Camel Rider spam. Now the siege tower is on the way forward, of course. The priests are there to help out. Plague of Serpents is going to get dropped down on the defense as the heavy Camel Riders to come through. For Mosca, a little bit late, but it's going to be in time. All the Camel Riders now coming in. Priests helping on the heels as Mosca says, no, I don't want to take this fight. Differential 21 for Grass to 20 for Mosca, but Mosca does have the upgrade advantage, but he's fighting underneath the Migdol stronghold. You look at this fight and you go, who's going to win? I don't know. Both players trying to heal up their units. Good retreat micro from Mosca. But Grass looks like he's now pushing back. He's in the lead. He's up 10 villagers. Mosca back against the wall. 3 Camel Riders, 6 Camel Riders. It's just full spam on the Camel Rider at the moment. Almost think just empowering the Migdol here wouldn't be a terrible idea for Mosca. Armory upgrades. Advantage is about to be in the hands of Grass. Still not a single spearman. On the backside of this, Grass, well, he seems to have, feels like he's got a bit of an advantage. He does. He's going Thoth. Now, of course, Thoth is big because you get that Valley of the Kings. It's huge, but I'm still looking at this matchup going, what's wrong with Spearman again? I'm just saying it. Siege Tower's rolling forward. Military differential. 29
into you
to 26. It is a big advantage to be a tiny bit in front in these situations. Grass. Mosca darting back and forth. As Grass has got his own Siege Tower presence himself. Siege Towers do beat Siege Towers. Trying to break through this position almost doesn't make a huge amount of sense as the Serpents will take the first little bit of that fight. Mosca pulls back. Siege Tower's there to tank up a little bit. Is there enough stuff? Again, fighting underneath the Migdol stronghold, but he does have a big advantage. Lots of Camel Riders in the back there as Grass now pulling back into his position. Siege Towers to continue the defense here. Militarily speaking, though, Mosca in a very big advantage here. He pulls back, though, after winning the fight. Of course, Thoth is going to come in, which means Meteor in the defense. Town Center on the left is now up for Mosca, but he's so far behind on economy here. Being behind on economy and then also having to face up against Valley of the Kings, this is tough. Another town center for Mosca. To somehow attempt to defend immediate champion Camel Rider. I mean, maybe Mosca should be making Spearman. I don't know. Grass trying to, well, I mean, Grass trying to bait in, but I feel like he should just be attacking here. If he can put the Meteor down on this position, he's going to drop it straight onto the Camel Riders. And Mosca says, goodbye, sir. I don't think he takes much damage here at all. That Meteor hits Grass more than it hit Mosca. It does take the town center out. Of course, all the Camel Riders are low HP. Champion Camel Riders on the way, as well as Iron Armor, as Mosca says, I got to take the fight right away. Can he win this fight? It's a big question. Lots of units not actually attacking for both players. The Siege Towers kind of distracting Mosca's Camel Riders away. And of course, the Phoenix is going to come through. That's going to be an issue. Champion Camel Rider now in for Grass. A little bit late there. The Grass has got such a big advantage cooking. 67 villages to 77 plus Valley of the Kings. So the Camel Riders come out even faster as Grass says it is time for a Migdol right in the center. Well, at least it seems like it. He's going to get his mining camp up. He is at full pop, so no real angles here. Osiris on the back of this for Mosca. Makes sense. If he can survive, he wins the game. Why? Because Grass doesn't have any real good answers to Desert Wind's Camel Riders. Phoenix sitting on the top. Gonna get a little bit of damage done. It will end up dying. The Camel Riders for Grass just not making it through on this defensive position. Armory situation. Full bronze, Iron Mail, and Champion Camel Rider. But Grass just not able to make any sort of ground here for the moment. More Petsukos. But Sukos is the only real advantage that Mosca's got. Mosca's sitting on this position with the Monument to the Villagers, healing everyone up with 1 HP a second. That helps, but the overwhelming force of Camel Riders from Mosca are making things very, very difficult here as we see another Locust getting dropped across this, but there's just not enough stuff from Mosca. Grass looks like he's going to be making it through here. There's not enough stuff for Mosca. Mosca's searching for villagers to kill with his Camel Riders. He's lost everything. He's going to continue to fight this out, but a third town center coming through for Grass. Camel Riders killing everything. 1 Migdol stronghold worth of production for Mosca. And Mosca taps out as he will not be making the finals today, this week. And Grass, he is going to be going through to face Tunison. There's not going to be a teammate finals today. 1 step from the ticket to Athens. Grass and Tunison. 1 player stands in front of each other. An incredible series played by Grass here. He almost fell. Mosca brought it back, but couldn't deliver the killing blow. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 15-minute break, give Grass a bit of a breather. We'll see you guys shortly.